One thing we use often, even every day, is money. Every day, it influences your decisions, what you consume, where you live, what you can or can't do. But here's the strange part. Most people spend their entire lives chasing money without ever understanding what it actually is. Because money is not just paper. It's a system. A system that quietly shapes your life, whether you understand it or not. And once you see how it really works, you can't unsee it. Why can't we just print more money? Why do prices keep going up? Why do some people seem to get richer without working harder? And why does it feel like no matter how much you earn, it's never quite enough? These are questions almost everyone has. But the answers are usually explained in a complicated way, or not explained at all. So in this video, we're going to break down the hidden system behind money. In the simplest way possible, money is just trust. Let's start with something most people never think about. Money is not real. Not in the way you think. A bill has no intrinsic value. It's just paper. And most money today isn't even physical. It's just numbers on a screen. So why does it work? Because everyone agrees that it does. Money is based on trust. Trust that you can exchange it for something valuable. Trust that other people will accept it. And trust that the system behind it won't collapse. If that trust disappears, money becomes worthless. That's why governments and central banks protect that trust at all costs. Because without it, the entire system falls apart. Now let's go back to one of the biggest questions. Why can't we just print more money? At first, it sounds logical. More money should mean more wealth. But here's the problem. Money doesn't create resources. It only represents them. If you suddenly doubled the amount of money in the world, there wouldn't be more food, more houses, or more goods. There would just be more money chasing the same things. So prices rise. This is inflation. And when inflation gets out of control, money loses its meaning. This has happened many times in history, where money became so devalued that people needed stacks of cash just to buy basic items. So printing money is not a solution. It's a risk. Inflation, the silent force. Inflation is one of the most important forces in the financial system, but it's also one of the least understood because it doesn't happen suddenly. It happens slowly, almost invisibly. Each year, prices increase slightly. Not enough to shock you, but enough to change things over time. A product that cost $10 years ago might cost $20 today. And this process never really stops. But here's what most people don't realize. Inflation is not accidental. It's part of the system. Economies are designed to have a small amount of inflation because it encourages movement, spending, investing, growth. But for individuals, it creates a hidden problem. Your money loses value over time, even if you do nothing wrong, even if you save carefully, which means staying still is actually moving backwards. The hidden gap between people. This is where the system starts to create differences. There are two main ways people interact with money. Some people trade time for money. They work. They earn. They spend. Others use money to generate more money. They invest. They build assets. They create systems that produce income. And over time, this difference becomes massive because time is limited. But money, when used correctly, can multiply. This is why two people earning similar incomes can end up in completely different financial situations years later. Now, here's something most people never think about. A large part of the money in the world is created through debt. When banks give loans, they don't just give existing money. They actually create new money in the system. This means debt plays a central role in how economies function. People borrow money to buy homes, Start businesses. Invest. This creates growth, but it also creates dependence because the system needs continuous borrowing to keep expanding. And that's why debt is so deeply integrated in the modern life. Saving money is often seen as the safe option, and in some ways, it is. But there's a hidden issue. If your money just sits, inflation slowly reduces its value. So even though the number in your account stays the same, what that money can buy decreases, which means you're losing value without noticing it. This is one of the biggest silent effects of the system. And it's why saving alone is not enough anymore. Investing, the real lever. This is where everything changes. Investing is how people step outside the system, instead of just being affected by it. When you invest, your money starts working. Instead of staying still, it grows through businesses, assets, markets. And the key here is time, because of compound growth. Money generating more money, which generates even more. Over long periods, this becomes incredibly powerful. And this is one of the biggest differences between those who build wealth and those who don't. Why it feels harder today. A lot of people feel like the system is getting harder, and they're not wrong. Living costs are rising faster. Housing is more expensive. Opportunities can feel limited. And at the same time, the system hasn't really changed. It still rewards understanding, not effort alone. But there's also something new. Access, information, tools, things that didn't exist before. So while some aspects are harder, others are more accessible than ever. The challenge is knowing how to use them. So who actually controls the system? It's not just one group. But central banks play a major role. They adjust interest rates, control money supply, and influence economic activity. Small changes in their decisions can affect millions of people, from loan costs to job availability to inflation. The system is constantly being adjusted, trying to stay balanced, but it's never perfect. The realization. When you step back, you start to see the bigger picture. Money is not just something you earn. It's something you navigate. A system built on trust, driven by inflation, powered by debt, and influenced by those who understand it best. Once you see this, you realize something important. The system isn't designed to be obvious, but it is predictable. And once you understand it, you can start making better decisions inside it. Money shapes almost everything in your life, but most people never question how it actually works. They just participate in the system without understanding it. But the moment you start to understand it, you gain something powerful. Awareness. And awareness changes how you act, how you spend, how you save, how you think. So here's the question. Do you think money is a fair system or a system you need to learn to play? Let me know in the comments. And if you want more simple explanations like this, make sure to subscribe.